Greetings all. I came across this. I've been trying to look at symptoms and adverse reactions from the COVID vaccination. So this is a website from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. I'm just going to maneuver through this. I hope and pray that you take the time and you look this up for yourself. So you have to actually go to wonder.cdc.government.controller. And then if you go into there, you actually can click on getting a request. You have to go down to do a search, go down to the very bottom, you have to agree. And then what will come up is this page. And then what you can do is you can start to put all your requests in here. So you're actually looking for the vaccine adverse event reporting system request. So in this, you're going to then organize. So you can do multiple things. The challenge is that, as you can see, this request produced too many, and I had to modify the request. So let me just go through this, and you can go back in and change whatever things, categories you want. So I put in symptoms as the first one, and the ID. And then that's in group number 1. Then I went down to group number 2. I wanted to see all the symptoms. And then in group number 3, it was specific for the COVID-19 vaccination. And then I wanted all manufacturers and all doses. I wanted all locations, all ages, all genders. And then I clicked on death. I put down control. I clicked on death, life-threatening and permanent disabilities. I left everything else as all events. Then I clicked down, I wanted all days, as you can see here, but unfortunately there are so many, it won't load. So I want you to understand this, I went to 0 days. So on the very first day that a person got the vaccination, the COVID-19 vaccination, 0 days. In the first 24 hours, all days, all days in hospital. And you can see I left everything else the same as it was in the default program. I left all number 7 and number 8 as what's in the default program, as well as 9 and 10. And then same with 11 and 12, I left them the same. And then I clicked send. So you can see it's processing the results. And, I apologize that it's probably not the greatest picture, but as you can see, it comes up with the full results are too long to be displayed. You have to understand, I clicked on death, adverse reaction, and permanent damage. I think that's the 3 that I clicked on in just the first 24 hours. In the first 24 hours. You also have to understand that a lot of times people don't report to VAERS because they don't understand that this is there to actually be able to report any vaccine adverse event, things that are happening. So you can click on this. And so right in the first 24 hours of someone taking a vaccine of the COVID-19 vaccination, there was 801 events. But it also says the full results are too long to display. So you can see there's different ways to do this. So you can see all of the different symptoms: abdominal pain upper, abnormal behavior. You can go through this. Acute kidney injury, myocardial infarction. You can go through respiratory failure, acute respiratory failure. All the different things that it can tell you, anaphylactic reaction. Anion gap, anxiety, asphyxia, arrhythmia. So I'm just going to go down because I want to show you all these. Cardiac arrest. You can slide down on all the different chest discomfort, all the symptoms. And then here we come to death. So this is reporting a death, and this is the person. So you can click on that person's. So this person was a female. It doesn't give their age, but it says there was death within the first. Tells you what vaccination they took. It was the COVID vaccination. They had cardiac arrest, circulatory collapse, and death. Gives you details. And then you can go back. And again, go through whatever symptoms you want. I'm going to scoot down to deaths again. Pick another one. So deaths come across. Click on the ID. So this person was 84, and death, the vaccine manufacturer was Moderna, and gives you some kind of description. I've read several of these, going through them. So the reason why I'm making this is because I'm hoping you will take the time, if you want to look up some information, that you can make an informed decision. I know in Ontario here, they're actually, I don't think it's Canada-wide, could be, but they're actually telling people that they can get money now from the government to promote getting the vaccination. And I know that natural health care practitioners, or practitioners in general, regulated practitioners in Ontario, are told that they're not supposed to really talk about a vaccination. And if a patient does ask a question about a vaccination, they have to give both sides of the story. Well, both sides, and yet I don't think that that's what's happening when a person goes to get the vaccination. I don't think both sides of the story are being told. And in media, I don't think both sides of the story are being told. So I'm hoping that this will give some people information to be able to look up things for themselves. So we're going to keep the same things, symptoms. What I'm going to just change is I'm going to come down and change. I'm going to stay with death, life-threatening, and permanent disability. So I just did in the first 24 hours. If I click control and do, so the first 24 hours is only the first 24 hours. If I click on 1 day, then it's just 24 to 48 hours. I actually started off by clicking 10 to 14 days, and there was too much information. They couldn't get it. I tried clicking on 9 days, just day 9. And again, there was so much information. Oh, so we tried to click on like control all the way down to there to 14 days. So if I just show you this, how you can do it, I click control, I click on all of these, and I wanted to see the first 14 days total, right? So this is 0 to 14 days. That's the only thing I've changed. And so I'm just going to come down and I'm going to click send. And then it says, this request produces 19,727 rows. The maximum is 10,000. So we can't even do that large of a search. Now, you could go through day by day and say, then let's try 0 days to, say, the first 4 days. Okay, let's try that and go down, but keeping everything else, but just expanding it to just the first 4 days. And it still says we have 15,454 rows. The maximum is 10,000. You have to understand, these are people. So in the first 4 days that they actually reported it, and apparently, not very many people report it, that there's, many, and the majority don't report it, an adverse reaction to a vaccination, and specifically COVID vaccination. And the reason I'm just trying to do this, everybody can make up your own mind what you want to do. But I just feel that media and about the vaccination is not giving both sides of the story. And that this is here for people to look up, but you actually have to look it up for yourself. So let's back this up now. So we can't even do 4 days. We can't do 4 days. So let's just do 3 days. So control again and do the first 3 days. And let's see if we can actually research that. Understand the very first one that I did was just the first day. Still too many. Can't even do 0 to 3 days. There's too many adverse reactions. So let's take day 3 off and just do the first 2 days. Day 1 and day 2. And let's try that one. And again, you know, it's for you to, I'm just trying to show you this. Again, too many. Over 13,000 rows. That means 13,000 people. It doesn't mean 13,000 people, because actually if I change this and I put the ID first, so let's do this. If I put the ID first, the person's ID first, there it is, and then put symptoms underneath it, what it'll do is, and I'm learning how to use this too, if I put symptoms in it, and then let's go back to, because we already know that 2 days isn't going to, it's not going to show us. It's too many. So let's do the first 2 days, 0 day and day 1. Let's try that and see if we can do that. The only thing I changed was flipping. So there's still too many. So in the first 48 hours, there's still too many, okay, to be able to show this. So I'm going to go back to 0 days. And I don't know if that shocks you. It shocks me. And that this is still so prevalent, and that people, anyways. So 0 days, the first 24 hours. And again, so we have 801, which we did the first time. But now what I've done is I've just changed, instead the symptoms showing up first, the ID is showing up first. So you can see with this person, they actually had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 symptoms. Okay, so they had 10 symptoms appear in the first 24 hours. So this one is showing, you know, again, so here's this person, right? And all of their symptoms going down here. So I like to look at it the other way around. Because again, I'm going to show you something. If you go back and you put in symptoms first, and then the ID, ID, and then I've left it at 0 days, still COVID, go down, search. Send. So again, it's 801, tells you they can't put all the rows in. Its full results are too long to display. But what happens is it's not that one person's ID isn't there. But if you go down to, again, I was looking at deaths, but, and then I'll show you from there. Let's just pick another one. So pick here. So this person was 96, a female, and they died within the first 24 hours. And if you go down, and they had the Pfizer one, COVID-19 vaccination, it actually lists all the symptoms they had. And they had sepsis. They had death, fatigue, sepsis. Arterial fibrillation. Now, it will give more of a history down here of what, you know, happened. So let's go back one. And here's all the symptoms. And you can do this. It won't take you long once you get into it. And you can just put in different things of what you want to see. Balance disorders. I want to go down to neurological issues. Neuralgia, neurological symptoms, neurological exam, neuralgia, neuropathy, neurological symptoms. Oxygen saturation decreased. Pain. Palpitations. So I'm not trying to convince anybody to do one thing or another. I'm just trying to give you a guideline of if you want to do some educating of yourself to the symptoms and what's been going on. But I'll tell you, when I put in the symptoms and the person's ID, I leave everything as I want to know death, life-threatening symptoms, and permanent disabilities. You can see you can't even put in all events because there's too much. And if I try to do, the first 14 days, control. Let's just search that again. And understand most people don't even do this, but there's over 19,000 rows. So it's almost doubled over of what is people that had symptoms. So again, you have to go to wonder, wonder.cdc.gov/controller. And again, you'll have to sign. You have to go in and click on the report. And then you have to go to the very bottom of the page and say you agree. And then you can get into this. I hope that's helpful. I just pray that more people will take the time to investigate both sides of the story, what media is saying, and then what actually is being reported of the side effects of the COVID-19 vaccination. And yeah, it's your choice. But I just pray you know both sides of the story. You can make an informed decision. God bless.